Hey everybody, welcome to another After Effects CS6 tutorial. I'm your host, Buddy Blackford, and we're on the New Boston's YouTube channel. Today I want to go over working in a 3D scene and how to use your views properly so that you can quickly move around in your 3D scene and figure out what to do. So, the first thing we should probably do is set up another 3D scene. So I'm going to start from scratch here and set up another 3D scene in case you guys haven't seen previous tutorials where I have done that. So let's just start out. I imported an object here so we can have something to use as a reference and move around in 3D space. So the first thing we want to do is make sure this cube here is checked. This makes it a 3D layer, and we want to make sure our background layer here, if you want to create one, is not in 3D. So the next we want to do is we need to create a new camera to look around through in 3D space. So we're going to go to Layer, New, Camera. Now we can name this our main camera and just keep the settings here. Just look at the settings that I have, which you probably only need to change if you have your preset different. Just change it to 50mm. Hit OK. Now this is good enough for a basic 3D scene. We have our camera here, which we are looking through right now because we can see that it says active camera up here at the top, right where my mouse cursor is. And also down here in our view pop-up where we can check our views, we have active camera, which is our main camera right now. Or we can come down here and click on main camera and it'll be on, it's the same thing as active camera for now since we only have one camera in the scene. So what I like to show you is how to use your views correctly. So we need this drop down panel right here where we can look at different views. So when you're working in 3D and you need to position stuff around and see where you are relative to everything else, it's a good idea to use the 4 views. Now you'll have your main camera up here in the right, and this is what your camera is seeing. And then up here is the top, which is a very useful view. It's very good for seeing. You're looking from the top of the scene down, so you're seeing where your objects are in space. The right view over here, you're looking from the right of the camera on, and it's good for seeing where your things are in space from left to right. And then you've got your front view here where you can see that this little box right here in the middle, that's your camera. You're going to be able to see everything in the front view. And it's different from the main camera view because you can actually see where your camera is in relative to where your other objects are. So when I click on my picture here, you can tell which one you have clicked by using your color guide here. So if you click on this color, you can change it if you would like. So if I change it to yellow, it's going to be yellow up in your selection. So you know that this right here is your picture, even though you can't see it because it's head on. Now you can move your object in 3D space by going such as this, moving in the view panels here, and you can also move down here in your regular properties panels. When you make something 3D, there is going to be an X, Y, and a new Z coordinate here that you can use to move forward and backwards towards the camera, depending on where your camera is. If your camera is up above, then it's going to move side to side pretty much, and then the Y axis will be moving towards your camera. So I'm going to throw in another picture here. We'll throw in something that's not huge. How about this disco guy? We'll put him in the scene. So I'm just going to drag it on. It's fairly large, so I'm going to scale it down. And I need to make it 3D, or else it's just going to appear like right in front of the camera. So I made it a 3D layer, and now you can see that this layer, which is color purple, is now behind this other layer. So now you can see how being able to move this way relative to the squish marker here. If you try to do this all in one camera view, let me go back to one view, it might be hard to tell exactly where you are relative to the other things in the scene. It's definitely possible, but if you're over here on the side, there's no way you can tell how far away you are. If you're behind, you can definitely tell. But I mean, if I scale this up, it might look like it's closer now, if you get what I'm saying there. So use your views to figure out where you are in the scene. Now if I move my camera, oh, wrong one, need the track Z. I'll go over these later on. You can see now that it's definitely behind the other squish, the other image there. So that's a pretty basic overview of how to use your views. You can change the view you want in which section by right-clicking, and come over here to switch 3D view, and maybe I want to come from the bottom on this one, and now I'm looking from the bottom up. So I'm going to switch it back to right. Mainly I work with right, front, and then this one should be top. Oops, you got to click in it, make sure it has the little triangles in the corner. That means you have it clicked, and then switch it. When you're working with a 3D modeling program, usually these are the views you want to use also, and you're in these views all the time because you need to move around and see what you're doing, and it keeps you in perspective and everything. If you try to do it all from the main camera, I've learned from experience that things get distorted and they get like twisted and it doesn't look correct, which I mean, you might not have as hard of a time with that in After Effects, but I mean, you get the idea. You just want to keep things all nice and in order for your scene, especially when you need to pass it off to somebody else. So that's the end of this tutorial. Just use your views the way I showed you, and you should be good.